I once read a post from someone who's in high school, and that guy was like, I hope you all are good. It's exam season. Some of us have started business. We're just going to school just for the grade 12 certificate, and I'm starting a business. There's this narration or notion these days that school is not that important. What's important is securing the bag, and business is better than working for someone. People think going to school is about learning engineering. No, it's about one. Let me just put it out there before I go. I totally agree with myself. So whatever I'm gonna say now, I agree with it because that works for me. Here are 5 steps to wealth. Number one, ditch school, and you're like, yeah, como esta? So sometimes in life you have to realize you're gonna have to break away from the pack. It's a very good question. I see my life as there are lifelong friendships, there are seasonal friends, and then there are inspirational friends. For you to be an investment planner in the engineering space, you need to have studied engineering somewhere, somehow. And I like what you said. Even for you to get to the next, you need to operate in the level that you want to be
at
before you get
100%.
When someone gives me advice or whatever, I always look for two things. The quality of your product means a lot, but what means more in business is how you make people feel. The cream will always rise to the top.
What's happening, everybody? Here is another episode with your favorite Mr. Cater. And today we're talking with Ron Rolling Beats Raedani. You'll get.
Where did you find that name, man?
I know that. So
Hey,
yeah,
you did your research,
always. So I mean, it's an investment planning. He works in investment planning in the engineering space. He studied electrical engineering. But before we even go to those interesting stuff, let's try to maybe just get Ron to introduce himself, tell us a little bit about his upbringing and what makes him or made him special as he was growing up. Mr. Ron.
Yes, special is the word, man. Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for having me, Andy. Quite appreciate it. As he said, my name is Ron Rolivhuwa Raedani. That's the name, and Nerva Venda Makonde, in the dusty streets, Makonde or Marahwange, where you eat for free. You have free food. And I'm sure, you people in Gauteng and Cape Town, you don't understand this free food concept. When you wake up, you just go to the Garden of Eden and pick some fruits and eat. you know. So that's where we grew up, carrying what do they call those things? Firewood to
Yes.
primary school, before you make it to private, you take firewood and you go to primary school and you eat beans and all that stuff. So that was fun, man. But yeah, we from Limpopo, from Venda, some cool areas there, some rainy areas, some interesting mountains that side, and yeah, man, that's where I grew up. Grew up at church, quite interestingly. Developed my love for music, sports, engineering. Funny enough, I used to stay next to ESCOM station. I can mention ESCOM. Yeah, next to an
Yes.
ESCOM station. So it was a distribution station. So you always see the cars coming in. Man, that's cool, man. I want to be like those guys. So that's where the love for engineering came through. Obviously, in Limpopo, everyone is playing sports, so you gotta love sports. You gotta love church. I bet you the highest concentration in terms of numbers in churches is in Limpopo. Just in terms of churches per kilometer squared. Limpopo, Eastern Cape. Maybe not Eastern Cape. Limpopo, yeah, maybe Eastern Cape.
Sure.
It's just a lot, man. This is a lot. So that's what we did, grade 12 all the way. To UCT, and now we're here. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I grew up. I hope you guys picked it up somewhere in between there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very rough introduction, but I think we got a very good one. I think the biggest one I got to pick was you said you lived next to an XCOM station, right? And you said you kept on just seeing these cars coming
Sure.
and going in front of you. So my
Sure.
question there would be, I guess obviously there was some sort of an importance of seeing something possible so that you can start seeing that you can also do this later in your life. What I'm trying
Yeah,
to say here is, I mean, for some other kids, they're probably not even seeing any of these cars. And how can you say you want to be an electrical engineer if you're not
yeah, sure,
sort of seeing some of these things?
sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, but I mean, what is important and what we don't
Mm,
see now is
mm.
branding one, and local engagements, right? Because if you
Sure.
think back then, the post office, Escom, telecom, not as much the health industry,
Hmm.
the Exaro, Kumbe, Sasso, those people would have exhibitions,
Yeah.
exhibitions in rural areas where they would bring people from the rural areas, familiar face, who maybe don't know sometimes, but they would actually tell you, this is what we do. This is we sat in that chair where you're sitting in class, and we sat there and we wrote the same exam, different questions that you are gonna write under the same circumstances,
Yeah.
and we made it out. So that was good, man. But we don't see that no more. We don't see that. And people, they used to, ESCOM would employ a percentage of the local office would be local people. So one, the person understands the people around, so they understand the
Yeah.
circumstances.
Mm.
They understand the local authority, so it's easier to get things done. And two, they're almost like the face of ESCOM as a representative in that local community.
Sure.
And it would help in two things: work gets done quicker, you don't have problems with authorities and tribal councils, and also your point now, you are sort of a brand ambassador to the kids locally where you're stationed. So it was good. It was very good. And I mean, when you used to work for ESCOM, you'd even be invited to speak at the church, just because you work at ESCOM. Hey, this guy works at ESCOM. You must come and speak
Wearing
to our kids at
overalls.
church.
Wearing all your overalls and stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just be
wearing
like,
overalls.
Bafunzi.
You see someone wearing an overall, na gondola, you're a respected man. You can pay
Yeah.
tithe, even if it's
Mm,
$100, you can pay tithe. Yeah,
mm.
you're a serious person. So yeah, those are some of the things that made us believe when we're growing up that yeah, we can do this.
I sort of really like how you sort of tied out the church and the company's thing and how it sort of influenced your growing together. Because I mean, again, if you're seeing
Sure.
somebody being the one that is going to announce that, yeah, we're going to eat at one just because they work at ESCOM, you also want to be there. I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately or fortunately, as a kid, you sort of envy
Exactly.
these small
Exactly.
things, and those are like your motivation
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah,
I was saying, if
I.
you think about it, it was not
Mhm.
only in it was not only in academics, but it was also
Mhm.
in sports.
Sure.
I mean, Leslie Manyatela, the Fusi, what was his name? The guys from Black Leopards. I mean, those were
Mm.
like the role models when you were growing up, eh? And the
Mhm.
one or
Mhm.
two people that you know um, from companies. I mean, I went to a technical school, so we always had engineers coming through, people who
Mm.
studied at our school. So that was very important, and that is the message I'm trying to put across. That I think if somehow you can find a way to bring it back, even through your platform, the people that you're talking to, and then you take them back to their communities, and then they can influence. It's more impactful than Beyonce coming through. Believe it or not.
100%. Yeah, because it's all about relatability, right?
Yeah, sure.
You can relate to this guy. He walked on the very same
Yeah,
sand you're walking on, and he drank the same water that you're drinking, and he is
yeah,
where he is today, which means that's sort of possible. Otherwise, I don't want to sort of delve more in this. We're gonna talk a little more on the impact of church and obviously the growing and the area we grew up at, because I think you have some interesting views already there,
yeah,
and I think it's sort of important to highlight that. So, I mean,
yeah.
with this whole thing of high school and people going for exhibitions and stuff like that, they used to pick about 10 top students, right? So I'm assuming you were one of them, or how
Sure.
did you manage to be somewhere there? And how did you sort of see that impact other people who were not on top 10?
So so I was not like top five, right? I won't lie. I
Okay.
was like top
Okay.
10, top 10.
Okay.
So I was like dwindling between 7 and 12. I won't lie. Between position 7 and 12, depending
Okay.
on the soccer season back at home, how busy are you? So I was dwindling between 7 and 12. And
Okay.
I like it, but I don't like it. I think there's an improvement to be made because one, you're saying, let's talk about taking just the top 10 to
Sure.
exhibitions, right? Number one, what about the rest of the 120 kids in the class? What are you saying about them? I mean, if you have 130 kids, yes, we are not all the same, but taking for a kid who's already number one, they need it, but they sort of already know where they're going. There's probably a lot of exposure there. But for someone who's struggling with motivation, who's like position 70 and 80, they actually need it more, right? They need that more. Maybe some of them are from like unfortunate households. They don't have role
Mm-hmm.
models. They actually need it more. So you sort of deciding the fate of the rest of the 110 kids out of the 120. Yeah, man, I feel indifferent about it. I still think we need to change our strategies. We need to take the whole 120, take them to exhibitions, get them to see that it's possible, right? It's possible. These are some of the possibilities, some of the opportunities you can get once you're out of school. And then you can still have a special exhibition for the 10, right? To say,
I
okay,
get
you
what you're
guys are
saying.
top 10. For being top 10, this is what you're gonna get. Yeah, but we should include, everyone. And I mean, it's ours because I don't like the idea of people saying no, but it's to encourage everyone else to to level up. Now, about no one number 10, but you can't encourage people by excluding them from something. You can use awards, right, to encourage people. Say, guys, if you study well, you see, you'll also have awards. But when it comes to exhibitions, man, and opportunities, I think we should open up that opportunity to the 120. In anyway, I have interesting observations in
Mm-hmm.
just me being alive that the kids who you think will be the best in life will make it out the top 20 in school. It's not the case, bro. It's not everyone. Majority of the kids who struggled in grade B, C, whatever, grade 10, B and C, grade 11, they actually hustle hard and they're actually, but that's a story for another day. but yeah, I think opportunities should be open to everyone, eh? But I'm grateful for the exhibitions and what I got. And I mean,
Yeah.
I got selected by UCT through one of those exhibitions. So that was nice. But I still think there are some great innovators and engineers that necessarily didn't know how to pass exams, but that did not mean that they were not brilliant. They just probably didn't know how to study and prepare for exams. So they got lower grades. But they were still brilliant engineers, right? So we still need to find a way to accommodate every single person
Correct.
uh, in the schooling system. Yeah, sure,
Um,
sure.
I think maybe you mentioned something that I could sort of use this platform to change the narrative. That is where I'm sort of going with the whole thing.
Mm.
Because imagine if I can have chats with doctors, engineers, teachers, nurses, and all those kind of things, and then
Sure,
I could get like some sort of a
sure,
funding or sponsorship from somewhere, and then they book for our, I don't know, hotel stays, and then we go and do talks at whatever area that could be whenever
sure.
you are free and whatever. And I feel it would sort of
Yeah,
change
yeah,
that
yeah.
narrative to say only the few gets the best, and then sort of everybody gets it via this thing.
Mm.
So I think, yeah, this is eventually where it's gonna get to,
Yeah,
because yeah, I already opened up to
that's
chat
good,
to
man.
a
That's
few
good.
schools. Yeah, to a few schools. So yeah, otherwise
Yeah,
that's a topic for another day. I just thought of I should clear it out.
yeah, sure. Let's
But
do it, man. Let's do it.
yeah, Mr. Ron, I mean, you mentioned as if your high school and your growing up was all nice and good. I like hearing that, right? Because, but I also like hearing the challenges that people came across. Because somebody once told me that when Andy, you never had it difficult for you ever in your life. I was like, you are lying. I have it difficult almost every
Yeah,
day. So if you can at least show that you are a human, people can sort of relate back to you to say, oh, yeah, we see this gentleman is
sure.
where he is, but then these are some of the things he came across. Do you have anything in particular that you might want to sort of highlight as you are growing up just before grade 12 or some sort?
Oh, just before grade 12. Okay, okay, okay.
Just
I was
before
gonna
grade 12.
ask you what is the time period? Give me a
Grade
time
12.
frame.
No, this is
I
the
mean,
first section is for the young ones.
nah, bro. Like, I think I mentioned when I started, when I said,
Mhm,
no, ni Venda, for example. When
mhm,
Nicoya School, Venda, like, I went to a public school, right? For the first,
mhm.
was it 3 or 4 years? I think up to B grade one, grade two, I think. I think for the first 3 years, I went to a public school, right? And my public school, there's no time to play. No
What's Kuni in
seclusion, or you
English?
are,
For my
I
good
don't know,
friends, what is
firewood,
Kuni?
firewood, firewood, hot damn. Firewood,
Sure,
yeah, sure,
sure,
firewood. So you
sure.
had to ban. So we did that, and we walked. We walked. Sometimes we had transport, but we walked to school. It was not the best of times. I mean, when it's raining and you're walking, but we got transport somewhere in and around. But it was not easy. And also, you see, the one thing that people don't understand is people think hardship is just like physical hardship, like what I'm explaining now. But there's also emotional hardship where when you're growing up and you're not struggling, right? You're from a family where you have a roof, you have food, you got TV. Back then it was like a dream. You got food, you got TV, you got everything. Your mom works, your dad works. There is a psychological thing where which you suffer a lot when you get to school, because whatever that you do to everyone else who's disadvantaged, is more like, who the hell do you think you are? No, he's only getting good grades because he's only do this because he's only getting this because he's only able to afford he can afford school shoes and whatever, whatever. So those are not good, especially when you are young. I don't think you are ready to handle that kind of emotional stress in your brain. So there's that emotional part, there's the physical part. And I mean, obviously, growing up in villages, there's a lot of unnecessary fights and bullying with people everywhere, in class, outside of class, on your way back home, whatever. So it's just the normal stuff, man. But I mean, I would be lying if I said it was extreme, because I was, by the grace of God, I had a roof, I had a lunch bag, I had clothes, I had an umbrella. So yeah, but it's just those little tickling
Small
things that
things.
I mentioned
Sure.
that I think were,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I'm sure even these days the kids are busy saying, "Oh, life is very difficult. My dad switched off the Wi-Fi for the whole night.
yeah.
Imagine." It's
Hey,
difficult for them. So
my boy likes doing that. I mean, I have a 3 year old, right? My kid likes,
sure,
and you're like, bro, it's time to sleep, right? It's 9 o'clock. And then he
sure.
looks at you and then he has this face, and then you see he has like some tears starting to come up. And I just take the remote and just switch it off and take the iPad and close it up and like, off to bed, buddy. It's time to bed. And I mean, this guy is so privileged. I mean, people grow up without TVs, and here you are crying just because, and you're going to sleep in a bed with linen that is washed, and you have your own bed. I mean, you're not even sleeping on the floor,
On
and
the floor. Yeah.
people are living comfortable lives. But it's
And
it's 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 how the social dynamics have changed. I mean, what we
sure.
used to consider as luxury back then, which is a bed,
Mhm.
a roof, clothes, and food every day. This day, it's like the bare minimum. These kids expect it as the bare minimum, and they just don't appreciate the basics of life because they're so privileged. They think having the basics in life, they expect it as the bare minimum, and
Sure.
and unfortunately, that's what they get on social media. That's what they get.
And
I mean, I often read posts. I might be diverting, but I often read posts,
mhm.
and people are like, "Yeah, if your man doesn't at least take you to Dubai, you get an iPhone. Oh, honey, why are you settling?" I'm like, yeah, what a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish, right? So
I
unfortunately, that's what's happening in South Africa now.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Sure.
You know, Mr. Ron, I want us to sort of switch your place with the little 3-year-old, and then he becomes the older one, and you become the
Yeah.
younger one, right? So let's say you are a kid right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and today your
Sure.
father or the guardian decides to take the tablet or the phone away from you and all those kind of
Sure.
things. How would you sort of suggest
Yeah.
some of these kids look at these things? Because I mean, yes, it's not necessary for a 3-year-old, but for 16-year-olds, you tell them, hey, when you go and study and then you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you said you want this phone. I'll get you once you pass. I don't have a
Sure.
problem. But then they feel like you're sort of
Yeah.
punishing them
Yeah.
because you've got the money. Yes, I do have the money, but I want to sort of treat you certain principles and whatever. So how would you think about it if you were that younger age right now with what you know, I think?
I mean, a 3-year-old. I mean, okay, a 3-year-old. You know what I was doing when I was 3, bruh? Like you would wake up, go get the fire, we would go to school, go and play at school, get dirty after school, go back home, change, go and play outside, go kick about, get dirty again, then go back. So that's like 2 changes in one day. And then go and get dirty again, bath, do some homework, watch Mubango. That's the only thing you look forward to. Watch Mubango, and then after that, off to bed, right? That was it. There's
Yeah.
no phone, there's no tablet. And I mean, socially, my life, probably everyone's life who grew up pre cell phones and iPads, was so much better. Eh? Our social lives were better. Our social awareness and just mental awareness was so much better. But as a 3-year-old, obviously, I'm just thinking this guy is stingy. This guy doesn't want me to enjoy life. What's wrong with you, pops, moms, uncle, whatever, what's wrong with you? But I think it is important for your social awareness. It's important for your relations, and it's also important for your mental health. You see so many things that just affect you mentally. Some as a 3-year-old, you just can't handle. Hey? You just can't handle what's going on and all that. So it's better
Sure.
to just keep it out of your life. But I mean, to be honest, if I were 3, I'd also complain. I'm not worried about investments.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
No, I was just taking a 3-year-old as a literal. I'm sort of taking a 3-year-old to from 3
Yeah.
years to like 18 years and all those kind of things. I mean, you
Yeah.
on the form that I sent you before, you mentioned that
Sure.
forget social media, do hard work, right? What's your explanation for that?
Yeah. 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 And I mean that is now transitioning from that 3-year-old to now 10-year-old. When do you go to high school? Somewhere there, right? 9, 10, 11, 12,
That's
up
cool.
to
9
18. Let
years.
me tell you.
Yeah.
When you go to high school, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14.
13. I
Bro,
think
see, I'm
14.
out of touch.
Yeah.
Eh? I'm showing
Yeah.
my age. Eh? Yeah, 13, 13, 14. Jeez. So here's the problem. Here is the problem now. At
Sure.
that age, we were told you need to work hard. You need to get yourself out of the poverty you are in, because nobody's gonna come and save you. Absolutely no. When Jesus comes back, bro, it's heaven. It's chai.
Sure.
There's no
Yeah.
time to labor on earth anymore. It's chai. We got.
Sure.
So apart from Jesus coming back, there's no one else who's coming back to save you. So you're responsible for your own success, right? So these days, people, the social media, bruh, and I mean, I once read a post from someone who's in high school, from church back at home, and that guy was like, "Yeah, uh, I hope, uh, I hope you all are good. It's exam season. Some of us have started business. Good luck to you guys. We're just going to school just for the grade 12 certificate, and I'm starting a business." And I'm just like, geez, when you say something and you think that's a punchline, that's so smart. And I was just reading it there, and I was like, I don't think this person is ready for what the world is gonna throw. The world doesn't work like that. There's this narration or notion these days that school is not that important. What's important is securing the bag, and business is better than working for someone. And I'm just like, man, guys, we need to get that mindset out. I mean, if you look at the number of people out of 5 who start a business and become successful, I mean, you start dropping fingers like crazy, right? And out of these two, you look at the number of people who become successful and sustain the success because they have business and financial acumen, which you don't learn on the street. You actually learn it through. You can learn it through experience, but the best place to learn that is literally at a institution of learning, right? And it can be any institution of learning. You drop another finger. So that's why
Yeah.
there's less than 1% of people in the world, I stand corrected, who actually become successful in business, in what they're doing. So this social media thing of drop school or don't take school as important, business is more important. Yeah, whatever. Business will make you more money, yeah, if it's successful. But there are people who went to school, who are working and who have a whole lot of money. Um, because of academics. And one thing that people don't get these days, people think going to school is about learning engineering. No, it's about one, improving your social IQ, improving your mental IQ. It's about exposing you to different areas of life, be it agriculture, economics, finance. I know now there's someone who studies IT. I know there's someone who studies biomedical engineering, because you always thought everyone who works at the hospital just works is a doctor.
As a
No, there are
doctor.
people who
Sure.
did biomedical engineering.
Sure.
Exactly. I know there are statisticians. I know there are mathematicians. You know, that it opens your mind up to all these things. And secondly, it teaches you professionalism, how to be professional, how to meet deadlines, how to study. When you need to know something, you need to study. It teaches you how to live with other professionals. Because, I mean, I don't want to mention names, but there's a certain institution right now in the political sphere in South Africa that is struggling because you never learned how. Yeah, let's skip that one. But how do you how
Sure.
do you manage yourself? How do you take care of other professionals that are in and
That
around you?
around you.
How,
Sure.
how, how do you live with people who are much smarter than you? You know, because you're not going to be the smart. You might be the smartest person in your house, but you're not the smartest
Sure.
person in your street. If you're
Outside.
the smartest
Sure.
person in your street, you're not the smartest person in your village. You know what I mean? How do you manage all those dynamics in your life as as
I
as,
see.
as you are living? So school, any institution of learning, teaches you all those
Mm-hmm.
dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. So that's what you learn in school. So that's why I say social media is good, but for socializing. But when it comes to your life and putting your life in order and make sure you provide for your family properly, bro, you need some form of education. And I'm not saying
Yes.
everyone who goes to institution of learning will be successful, and I'm not
No.
saying everyone who starts a business will not be successful. But I'm just
Sure.
saying, I personally, based on all the things that I've said, I would rather go to an institution of learning, improve myself, and then I can venture off to business whenever I want to. But I know at the back of my head, my last point on this, I once met a doctor. I can mention her name, right? Dr. Mpo from Bulugwan. She owns
Sure.
Ashes, beautiful restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I remember one day I was talking to her. I can't remember what we were talking about. And she mentioned something. She's a doctor by profession, but she runs
Mm-hmm.
businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
was at a restaurant, Ashes, and she was like, you know what? I love Ashes and I give everything to Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
But what most people don't realize is it's successful because I know I'm not doing this for hunger. And at the back of my mind, I always know that if all fails, I can go and wear my white robe, put on my qualification, and go practice
Go
as
to
a
the
doctor.
hospital. Sure.
Man,
And
I
the
was just
hospital
like, come on.
will and the hospital will actually accept you because you have reputation. You've been there for 10 years and they know you.
You have reputation, you're qualified, she has practiced. You know what I mean? She good, man. There's a lot of people in business now with a lot of qualifications. And I mean your mind is at ease because if it fails, I can always fall back to. I mean,
Sure.
imagine a scenario, God forbid, where you fail
Mm.
and you are 37, 38. You got no fallback. You're not gonna be admitted back in grade 12. I mean,
Not at all.
so then what? Because one of the things that I always say, you see all these, most especially ladies, even guys that are living the good life in social media.
Hey,
Just, I want you
they
to
put
do
us
me a
under
favor.
pressure.
Ask three of them, what do you
Mr.
do?
Ron.
They
Mr.
put you
Ron, they
under a lot
put
of
us under
pressure, right?
favor.
Yeah, yeah. Just go and ask them. Just ask one of them. So what do
Mhm.
you do for a life? I'm telling you, you're not gonna get that answer. You're gonna get a lot. No, I influence what? Where? How are you generating your income? Bro, there's a lot of vile things that are happening out there that people
Sure.
won't tell you about. The same people who will tell you, no, don't go to school. School is just a waste of time. Find out how they're making their dough at the end of the day. You will realize that, bro, I'd rather stick to school. And if I can branch out to business and be successful, hey, come on, amen. It is what it
Hey,
is,
you know,
you know?
Mr. Ron, when you're talking about forget social media, go to school, because that's what you're sort of putting against each other, because social
Yeah,
media is saying, hey,
yeah,
you can just make it by waking up and breathe, but unfortunately that's not it.
sure,
I think many
sure.
people, when we talk about stop using social media, and then start studying and start doing something useful, they feel like we are hypocrites, because look at it, right? You're a businessman, Mr. Ron, and for people to know about your business, you need to go to social media.
Yeah,
They'll be like, well, he's using social media and he's telling us not
sure.
to use it. So what is the correct use of social media? And when do
Yeah.
you sort of need to be alerted and aware when you're using social media?
It's a very good question, and I never. So I mean, let me just put it out there before I go. I
Mhm.
totally agree with myself. So whatever I'm gonna say now, I agree with it because that works for me. You might not agree with it, that's fine. But I totally agree with myself and with what I'm about to say, right?
Sure.
So I mean, we can't dictate how a person uses their social media because it's
Hmm.
their account, right? It's your
Sure.
account. It's what
Sure.
you do. But I'm just saying I have put some standards for myself, which I adhere to and I abide to all the time, and those work for me. And firstly, you need to distinguish which social media are we talking about, because there are professional platforms like LinkedIn, all right? What do I use LinkedIn for? I use LinkedIn to for my bio, because at this day and age, if you're just thinking I'm a South African, I'm gonna grow up in South Africa, work in South Africa, die in South Africa, hey, come on, man. The world is big, right? You can explore the world, but the only way
Sure.
you're gonna be able to reach
Sure.
out to international audience is through international platforms like LinkedIn. So I keep that
Sure.
up to date, but I'm not like busy on it. I keep it professional, keep the articles professional, do what is professional. I see people
Mhm.
advertising clothes and just writing about their holidays on LinkedIn. I just block them. I'm just like, this is the wrong platform for this. You understand? So you have to be relevant, learn relevance, learn the audience, and have a very clear purpose and boundary on whatever platform that you're using. I mean, my Facebook is literally for that. It's for sound, and it was for photography, and now it's for the sound business. That's what I'm posting, right? I'm posting sound. I'm not there to update you on how my life is doing, where I am on holiday. For what? What does that have to do with you? I mean, it's none of your business. That's my personal business. But I mean, there are people who want to post every single second of their lives on social media, and it works for them, right? So be it. And if you're an influencer, maybe it works for you. You
Sure.
wanna people to see that you're living a fancy life, which you will never tell us who's paying for it. My point earlier on, because you're trying to show us that you are influencing and people are paying for ads on your page. You make so much money, you can go to Turkey for a holiday. Really? Can we get the receipts and the cards that are paying for those and how you're generating income? Is it really just through social media?
Sure.
Mhm. I, you know, so I just say set boundaries. I mean, Instagram is just a naked shop anyway these days, so I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, but those are my views. I mean, yeah, that platform has really it has gone from Instagram was supposed to be sharing beautiful moments, pictures, just traveling, and it was just a divert from Pinterest, for those who know Pinterest, to a more personal sharing
Please.
space of pictures and beautiful moments around the world, and it has now just gone to the right.
To the other way.
But I mean, if you have a business like pictures, podcasts, whatever, music, you're an artist. I mean, you will want to be on Instagram and Facebook. But what are you there for? You are there for marketing. So do the marketing. But I mean, now you spend the rest of your time listening to an influencer from Brazil telling you, here are 5 steps to wealth. Number one, ditch school. And you're like, yeah, como esta? Ah, my God. You
Yeah.
are now losing the plot.
I mean,
You are
I
losing the
mean,
plot. Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, yeah, I just want to finish that one, and I want to talk a little bit about your university and your transition to work a little bit, and then we jump on fully on
Sure.
the engineering, the sound, and the photography business, right?
Sure.
But one thing that I've got to, I'm very lucky. I got to work with so many people from so many diverse fields, either on projects directly or just having chats,
Sure.
or I'm doing sort of consulting for them and whatever.
Yeah.
And with most of the founders and most of the people who
Yeah.
call them business people, those who sort of dropped out of college or dropped out of university or school, it's like they've gone mad in some way. Like they are quite irrational, and not in an irrational way of doing good, but yeah, you can,
Yeah.
for me, I sort of call them weird because, again, like you're saying, professionalism, how you treat the next person, how you sort of look at
Yeah.
things in general. So
Yeah.
that structuring that school gives,
Sure.
people can be like, yeah, it's programming you to
Yeah.
do these things, but then why are you not talking about social media that is programming you to this? Why are you not talking about television that's
Yeah, it's
programming
programming
you
you
to
to
this?
do
But
yeah,
you only want to talk about school to program you to this. At least school is programming you to do good and to do this, and then sort of, because again, it's all about the foundation. You can build a very big, long story building. If it doesn't have a very strong foundation,
yeah.
when the floods comes, it will just start looking like this. And then the school is probably that foundation.
Yeah.
Again, let's not talk as if we are social
Yeah.
media experts. People will will start
No,
judging
we are
us.
not, but like we said, we totally agree with ourselves. So
Good.
it's for you to decide watching this, how you want to take it. I mean, take it as you can, but I mean, it
up to
is
you.
what it is. We are also using social media to reach out to you on
Sure.
this, so that's why I say it's up to you what you take. At a podcast, do you want to just have a good laugh? Then go watch the podcast for laughs. If you want education, go watch a podcast like this. You know, get a
Sure.
bit more insights, but be a bit more realistic. But I'm just saying there are things that you can just see. These things are not realistic. You know, and unfortunately, those are the standards that you subject yourself to. And you can say it's not realistic. There is no one, even the richest of the richest people don't just wander around shopping in different cities everywhere around the world, and they say, I'm an influencer, I'm making that money. Guys, let's be honest, traveling is expensive, accommodation is expensive, and if you have a decent job, there's no time for you to be traveling 24/7.
Because you better be doing a job
to ourselves. So
yeah,
it's up to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise, I think let's go to your varsity. Let's talk a little bit about your varsity and your transition to work. I mean, how did you make it work for you? I mean, there's people who have been in university for a very long time, and some are saying university is way too difficult and whatever. What is that? Because I mean, people are always looking for hacks. I don't believe there's hacks in life ever. X is just another way of saying I failed so many times and I got to make it and thought of it in this different way. So what was some of your hacks that you got to use in your university in transition to the workplace?
You know, university is interesting because you're coming from Matodzi High.
Sure.
All right. And you were the best student there.
Sure.
In Matodzi High. And now here you are at Van der Voet, and I'm using an Afrikaner institution.
Sure.
Bearing in mind the historical significance in South Africa. I deliberately using that.
Sure.
And you're going to this institution where you are now not the best. Maybe you might be the best, but majority you won't be the best. You're gonna meet A+ students. You're gonna meet, the students from across the river, the Limpopo River. Those ones who do A level there by Harare and Bulawayo. You're gonna meet them there, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, bro, I thought I knew how to solve linear and trigonometric equations, and now there's just these guys are on another level. So one, there's that issue. How do you mentally adjust? And that's why I say, institutions of learning are important.
Sure.
You learn to have some your mental capacity grows. So you learn to have that mental, not only tact, but just the way you approach difficulties even in life. You learn to find proven solutions and methodologies in solving problems, right? And you learn that through going hardships and failing mathematics, and you realize, okay, so if I fail, what do I do? Do I continue going through the same route, or do I go and look for someone who's better at this, who I can see the results, and then I can humble myself and ask for help, and then this person can help me pass this.
Sure.
So there's a methodology to going through problems, because most people, your ego gets on your way, right? And you're like, nah, I used to get this at high school, I used to be the best, I'm going to do it, and then you're going to fail, and then you get into this infinite loop of failure. You boost yourself, I can do it, you fail, I can do it, you fail. So yeah, you're always stuck in this loop of failure, and before you know it, 3-4 years have gone past, you're still doing first year courses, and you have picked up one or two second year and third year, normally the electives courses, because they won't allow you to do majors when you're failing majors in first year. And then before you know it, you've been there for 7 years and you have nothing to show with it. Then you decide, no, I want to change courses now. I want to go do something else. So that is most of the people who I've seen stay there. That's the loop that they get stuck in, and yeah, once it's like a bottomless pit where every year you keep finding there's another level down or failure. There's another level, and bear in mind, the more you pick up courses, the more difficult it is. That's just how university is. It becomes more difficult year by year. So I mean, it was mastering that challenge. How do I humble myself, ask for help, do my tutorials, accept failure, because I mean failure is not nice, and that's your biggest stumbling block. How do you manage failure? I mean, I failed engineering one. Be positive. No
Secrets
one
now.
fails engineering one.
Now we are taking our
Well,
secrets.
when I say
Let's
no
go for
one, I
it.
mean like 98% of people pass engineering one. It's supposed to be the easiest, right? And I can't tell you why I failed engineering one. I really don't know. To this day, I sit and I ask myself, how the hell did I fail engineering one? How did I get 40, 47? I don't understand, right? How I failed engineering one, and I passed everything, but I just couldn't pass engineering one. It was, I mean, I remember even going to my lecture, and he was like, he looked at all the marks, like, how did you fail engineering one? I'm like, sir, I don't know. I really don't know. So now with failing engineering one, I mean, there are so many instances where now you are in the dining hall, you are chilling with people, you kind of hear the little whispers and a nuanced conversation on the side. Yeah, hey, people are doing engineering one again. So it kind of hurts you. It's painful, and you do realize you are in that class of people who failed engineering one. There's so-called, hey, how did this person even make it here if you're failing engineering one? Because there's a sort of a classism that happens when you fail engineering one. So how do you get out of that um painful experience? And that's purely mental. It's nothing to do with your capacity as you are good enough to be in that engineering class, so you can do it, but the mental side of it. How do you get through that? Put your head down, keep working hard, graft, cut out the noise, and just keep focused. Take double courses where you can.
Yeah.
And so that was the story of my life. It did not start well, because of that engineering one thing. Did not start well. So I ended up having to do 5 years instead of 4, right? Because I was always like a year, a major
Yeah,
behind,
I see.
because of that
A
engineering
major
one.
always adds some sort of a
So
year
it was a
somewhere.
bit tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fail a major early, you add a year automatically. So it was not smooth sailing, bro. It was not smooth sailing, but we got over it. And I mean, like I said, you put your head down, you focus. It's just 4 or 5 years of your life that are gonna determine the rest of your life, sort of. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's painful now when I see the clevers. The clevers, the ones who don't study, the one who come to class late.
Sure.
The I'm too good for this.
Sure.
Partying. It's sad to see some of our friends. When you leave the university, you are leaving them behind. And you sort of thought you'd go there together, live together, go work together. You're a child, still 20 by then. So it's sort of sad to see some takes them 8, 9 years, and by the time they come to start work, they're like 26, 27, and you're like, okay, it could have been sooner. But then in life again, as long as you get it done, man, as long as you get it done and you pass eventually, be it 6 years, 7 years, as long as you get it done, by the
Yeah.
time, if you look at a working life, it's
Sure.
up to 65.
Sure.
So you can pass varsity at 20, you have X number of years.
Sure.
You can start working at 29 or 30. You still have a long time
Sure.
to work. So you're still okay.
Still good.
But
You're
it
not
would have been nice to do it
You're not a
as
failure at
early
the
as
end of the
possible.
day.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just get your head down, university. Exactly.
Mhm.
So for me, it was get my head down, focus, think of the hardships I might have had personally and whatever. I don't want to go back there. So I want to like progress. I want to create a good life, uh, and get over the failure, get over
Yeah.
the
The,
whatever
the,
failure that you're encountering. So
the, there was a
yeah,
very important point you put out here. I would like to sort of hear how you think about it. I remember the other time when we were at the
sure,
camp, you spoke a little about, right? But then I want to
yeah,
put it in the context of school. You have these friends, right, that you guys are sort of fond of,
sure,
or you have been
yeah,
friends since, let's
yeah,
say, grade 5 or grade 10. Like that thing, it's like a longest friendship
sure,
ever living. And I mean, over
yeah,
time, when you sort of pass first, and then they still have their 9 year to run, and either they complete it and they start working, or they don't complete it and they sort of
mm,
give up. And because I mean, in many cases, I mean, as friends, you sort of
mm,
make friendship based on how ambitious both of you are. And when those friends sort of
yeah,
lose
sure.
ambitions, how did you manage that? I mean, I'm pretty sure you lost a lot of friends because of that very same thing. I mean, you are fast moving, either in business or in career or whatever stuff like that.
Yeah,
How did it affect your
yeah,
friendship, and how did you make sure that you still do great for yourself and all those kind of things? Because whether ukodita muthu zvino, yes, and all those kind of things.
sure. It's tough, bro. It's tough. It's tough, man. I mean, and that is the thing, right? If you look at the story of the Tesla guy right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentioned Tesla and SpaceX because I mean, if you look at where he was with his friends back then, and they had successful businesses, but he always had a bigger picture. He wanted to do something bigger. That's why he sold the previous business and say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the US and I wanna do this Tesla space exploration groundbreaking. So sometimes in life, you have to realize you're going to have to break away from the pack. You're going to have to break away and really focus on what you're doing. And then if the friendships are meant to be, I mean, they will always be there, right? But sometimes you just have to move out of the nest, go and focus, do what you got to do. And then you can always come back later on. And if those people don't want you to come back to the nest, sure, be it, man. I see my life as they are lifelong friendships, and this is not going to be more than 5 people. You can't have this. This is too much. Probably 3 or 4.
Sure.
These are your lifelong friends. You know these people are going to be there for the rest of your life, and then they are seasonal friends. And these seasonal friends depends on your season. I mean, you're in high school, friends. After that, you part your ways. You shake your hands. Thank you for getting me through this period of my life. It was nice. We'll keep in contact once in a while. We'll talk, right? And then there are inspirational friends, and these are friends that are also seasonal, based on where you want to go in life. I mean, you will befriend because let's be honest. And if you want to drive a BMW and you're always hanging out with people who believe that scooters are the best, my bro, before you know it, your mind will also be tuned to scooters. You're gonna be driving scooters, you know what I
Sure.
mean? So you're gonna but if you befriend yourself with people driving the car, then you're gonna hang out with them. But you don't have to leave your scooter friends, right? You will keep in contact, but you will spend most of your time with the people
Yep,
who are
duh.
driving the car that you want to drive. And when you start driving a BM, guess what? Those people are gonna now expose you to people who are driving Maybachs and Bentleys. Now you're gonna start associating with the Bentley crew. Guess what's gonna happen to the scooter guy right at the bottom?
You start having
Now you're
levels to
spending less
friendship.
and less time
Yeah.
with the scooter
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You start having levels to friendship, my man, and
Sure.
that's just how life is. And I think as people, we
Do we?
we just need to get that concept. It's like someone who gets married.
Mhm.
That person, by virtue of the day they say "I do," you may kiss the bride. You must just know your friendship just drop. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're
uh, uh,
gonna
and
spend
and
most
often
of their time
people
with
who
their
want,
person. Sure.
man, you see a person gets married and you still want to spend the same amount of hours with your friends as you were after getting married as you were before you get. It's not gonna work, bro.
Doesn't
It's
work
not
like
gonna
that.
work.
Mm.
So that's how I manage it, and I try to keep in contact.
Sure.
I greet, I talk. I mean, you don't want to lose friendships also just because you have bigger ambitions and you are moving fast and whatever. You want to make sure you keep your friendships. But the ones that will drop off, let them drop off. It's all good, man. No harm, no foul. As long
I
as
see.
just be honest to each other. I mean, there are people now that agreed that we were friends back in high school. Agreed. Hey, what's up? What's going on? That's good, man. Where you at? How's life? How's everything? No, all is good. But then we passed. But now I got a new friends. I mean, we have not even brought the aspect of faith now. There are also new friends that you will have from your faith perspective, because there's your personal, your faith, and there's your professional life. 3 different lives that you're living. So that's just on the professional and the personal. There's still friends, faith. Your faith will determine which of these friends must also stay and which ones must go. And if you're serious about your faith, there are people that you can see, these ones are taking me away from my faith. So you need to make a decision there. If you value your God so much, are you going to keep those ones, even if they are valuable financially, but they're taking you, you need to sell your soul. Are you going to keep them? So those are the decisions that you need to make. And those are the decisions I constantly make when I review. I have what I call a review session every December. I go through my contact list. I try to see what's going on, who's keeping, who's staying, who's going. You know, so those dynamics I try to manage.
I remember this other week you wrote a status and I was like, I just deleted a couple of words. And yeah, it is just that, unfortunately. As brutal as it may sound, because yeah, you can go ahead. I mean, as brutal as it may sound, your circle of friends can either make or break you. And if you start feeling like now it's breaking me, at the end of the day, you are all that matters. It's you, Ron, it's Andy, and all those kind of things. And some topics like this maybe needs to be spoken a little bit. It would be interesting for me to just sort of get a psychological feel or how a psychologist think about this topic of friends and whatever. Because I mean, over time, I've struggled with so many things and whatever. And I think it's important. It's quite important for us to talk about it, you know. But yeah, otherwise, you shared a lot there.
I mean, sorry, Andy, before you pass there. Before you pass, the one of the people I blocked is a gentleman. I told him during the fees must fall. No, it was not the fees must fall. It was during the that the lady who got murdered at UCT, and he was so negative about it. You know, why are women so special? I'm like, bro, you can't say that. The student who went to the post office, Urinene or something like that.
Yes,
she went to the post office and then the guy raped her and killed her.
Yeah.
So I was like to the guy, my man, you can't be talking about women privileges and they feel they're special. We must march on their behalf. Someone just lost their daughter. A girl lost her life. Someone lost a potential beautiful wife. We lost a leader in the country. And be sensitive. And throughout, I could see his statuses. So women are trash. Women are devils in sheep in whatever wolf skin. And I used to tell him, hey, my man, I don't subscribe to this language. So I ended up. So I mean, I lost a friendship there. But I mean, I'm good. I'm at peace, man. I'm at peace. I want to see things that stimulate my mind the right way. You know, I don't want to be waking up next to my wife and I look at her and I'm thinking, hey, women are trash because I read it. You know, nah, bro. Nah, man. Nah, bro. Nah.
I think we're gonna touch many people's feelings here, but it's fine. Let's keep that one because I always say the same thing, Mr. Ron. Because for me, right, I have this very strong belief, right? For as long as you're in my circle, if I'm going up with you. If you choose to stay down, it's your choice. But I'll try to make sure that if you're in the engineering business or if you're in the sound, whatever, I do know a friend. I'm quite lucky. I have a lot of friends in the photography and video, some with big studios and all those kind of things. I could just make a call. Hey, bro, I have some guy. He does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you want to check him out? Sure. In fact, in some cases, I would even take my own funds to make sure that they get sorted that side. But then what about these friends Sure. But what about these friends that now then use you? This is the last type of a friend we're gonna talk about. We are let's say you and I I don't want to get personal about it, but it has happened to me. Right? Let's say you and I there is this friend that always comes to sort of get but never gives you. How do you sort of deal with that? But
Yeah.
by get and never gives you, I'm talking
Nah, bro,
about. Yeah.
it's not reciprocated.
Sure. Sure.
You see that one, that one is for me. I always I divide the two.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who cannot reciprocate because they just don't want to,
Okay.
and they have all the means in the world to do it.
Okay.
They just don't want to, and they think about you when. I mean, I was heading sound for a well-known artist in South Africa, Levu. I think we all know
Levels
that.
Hobela, yes.
Recently I've been working with Claude. Yeah. And I mean, there are people who don't talk to me at all, but they have a concert and they have something and they would like to have one of the artists come to their to their shows. And then, hey Ron, what's up? Yeah, no, nice sound, man. Yeah. Yo, we've been thinking of having Levu on our. Would you kindly? And I'm like, bro, you haven't even spoken to me in 5 years. You know, you've been winning and all that. And you only think of me when you want something. And when I greet you, you smile me, and I'm just like, that can't be right. You know what I mean? That can't be right. So those clearly, I'm like, I disassociate. I don't have time to play. If you're just here to use my life as a ladder for your own personal gains, I'm out with it, bro. I don't have time. And then there are people who they can't reciprocate
Sure.
because they don't have the means. They don't have the be it financial, material. They just can't do it.
Okay.
I need to pour in their lives, and that is part of my ministry to them. There are people who will come to me and be like, "Yo, bro, I need 300, I need 500," and I'm like, I always say, I give it to you, and I always say, you can give it to me month end, and if month end you come back to me, be like, bro, I'm really struggling hard. I will keep you, and I will give you the next one. But those ones who I have to call you and be like, bro, you owe me money, and I see you living it up, and you still owe me money.
I was talking to a good somebody early in the morning today, right? About if you're an engineer, you are 8 out of 10 is a problem solver, and you are a 2 out of 10 a technical person. Your technicals are just the careers. It's a ride to take your problem solving skills to solve a certain problem. So that's how I just wanted to talk about the whole friend thing. Let's talk about your investment planning and engineering and electrical engineer. Can you please just explain to somebody who've never had electrical engineering before? Let's start from the guys that wear the helmets. And then let's go all the way to Abu Brahim and the big boys that runs the show.
Yeah. So I mean, engineering is broad, man. Engineering is broad. And that's why I was saying, when you go to institutions of learning, that's where you get to see the different aspects and just the little different pockets inside the bigger pocket of engineering. There are still little pockets inside there that you can explore. I mean, you should have a chat with EP one day. And he must tell you what it does. Biomedic, what. I still don't understand what it does.
If I'm right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You should have a conversation with him. Yeah. About what he does. And it's quite interesting, and not a lot of people know about it. But it's so good and so beneficial. And it's the same with investment planning. Because in engineering, there is the technical side of it, which is the plant. There is the non-technical side of engineering, which is where I'm at. So I'm not in the plant, right? I don't wear a helmet. I don't take a spanner and fix things, which is the cars that you normally see going around, fixing your lights on the street poles, fixing your transformers. That's what people say in my home language. Like it's gone, there's no electricity. So they come and fix it up, maintenance and all that. So that's the technical side. Then the non-technical side is the management side of it, is the financial side of it, is the procurement side of it, is the investment side of it, and it's the asset management side of it, right? And obviously human resource is a big factor.
Mr. Ron,
so I'm in the investment space.
I'll stop you. Mr. Ron, sorry. I want to. The thing is, you're coming with These are things that I've never heard of or somebody never heard of. So I'm going to try to stop you in each and every one just
Yes,
so that we can explain it
sure.
a bit. So you said the first one
Okay.
is the one wherein this guy comes with a transformer at your local area, and then they connect the poles, and then you get the
Sure.
electricity that we are using, and
Sure.
then voila, that is the normal
Sure.
ones we're seeing with the helmet
Yeah.
and the overalls. Sure.
So the first one is the technical, which it's handiwork. We've spoken about it, and I think you guys get it. Then the second one, which is now non-technical.
Thank
Now
you.
it's all the non-technical parts. So the first non-technical part, let's talk about the asset management part of it.
What do they do?
So the asset management, so you are basically responsible for the assets. Because remember, these transformers and breakers and whatever, those are assets.
Okay.
Someone needs to do asset management
Okay.
to manage the assets. So you are managing it. That's from procurement to the operation, to the commissioning, to the asset working, to the replacement of the assets, to the future investment of the assets. So it's the whole life cycle
So
of the asset. When this asset is now 40 years, do you replace? Do you keep it? So the whole life cycle. What do you do
Okay.
once you have installed an asset on an electrical plant?
Okay.
What happens? What is the life cycle model looking like of that asset? So that is in broad asset management, right? So that's the asset management side. Then there is the planning side of engineering. So you are responsible for engineering planning. So if your car is, so when you buy a car, no one just comes and says to you, you need to go to service for this car in 15,000 kilometers. There is an engineering science, bro, and logic behind those numbers. They don't just say, when should you come service? 20,000 kilos. No, bro. There's mathematics, there's logic, there is science to it that goes on into putting those kilometers. And that's the planning side of engineering. As an engineer, you can do that. You can just sit and plan and say, this is when we're going to do shutdowns. This is when we're going to do maintenance. This is when we're going to put new plant. This is when we're going to decommission plant. It's a big thing. It's a big thing, guys. It's a big thing. It's planning for engineering. And then there is the management part, right? Because as an engineer, you can do problem solving, like you said. Then you need to develop yourself some soft skills, which is fundamentals of management. And then you manage the engineering sector. So you can be a manager of a plant, you can be a manager in the procurement space, you can be a manager in the business development, in the business management, program management, managing the programs that, in the engineering field. You can just be a manager. Even with the engineering degree, you can be a manager, and a very successful one. By the way, most of managers have engineering degrees, even in banking and whatever.
Sure.
They have engineering degrees, bro.
Yeah.
So you can go into management as well, and then obviously, you can, if you are in management, you're good. You can go into strategy as an engineer as well.
Sure.
So you develop strategy for the business. How should what are the strategies when it comes to maintenance? What are the strategies when it comes to these assets? How do you meet the corporate strategy of the business? You bring it down, you meet it with the day-to-day running of your assets and your business. So you are a strategical thinker. You give direction to the business, and you make sure that the corporate strategies is in alignment with the strategies of your maintenance, of refurbishing, whatever, buying new materials. Man, it's broad, man.
Okay.
So you can be in a strategic position, you can be in a management, you can be in planning,
Can be in HR, you can be in
or you
finance
can
and
also
all
be in
that.
asset management.
Okay. So
You can be
then
in finance, you can do whatever.
let's talk a bit more about your one, right? You spoke you're a
Sure.
electrical engineer who wanted to be an electrical engineer
Yeah.
because you saw some guy at ESCOM, right? But then all of a sudden you are in investment planning. I mean, how did you sort of handle that?
Yes.
And then how does your normal day-to-day go in the investment planning space as well? But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for you to be an investment planner in the engineering space, you need to have studied engineering somewhere, somehow, right? And for me, who works in an electrical power plant business, not power plant, power business, basically, so generation, distribution, transmission, all the likes. So you have to have studied electrical engineering because you need a basic understanding of electrical components. What are the subcomponents in delivering electricity? And then how do you plan investments for that? So at the end of the day, it's about money, man. It's about money. So I'm in the money space. How do you invest in electrical plants? When you have an asset, when do you put in a new asset? When do you replace an existing asset? You understand? When do you maintain and not replace? An asset has many models. Most of them, it's a bathtub. Sort of, you start off, it's brand new, spanking new, whatever. Then it operates normally. Then now your failures start pulling up. You understand? When now the asset is getting old, what do you do with the asset? Do you buy a new asset? Do you replace? Do you repair? Do you leave it to just run to failure? All those are investment decisions that someone must make, and that's where I come in. Right in that space, I make a decision for each and every single asset that is on a plant, and I decide how much money is this asset worth. Is it worth putting R1 billion on refurbishing Majuba power station, or should we just build a new power station? So those are the decisions that I make on a daily basis. We're talking some big numbers, billions and billions,
and
says
billions
Donald
and
Trump.
billions.
Billions, many billions, and billions.
Okay, so
so that is what investment planning is about.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I think I don't know. Okay, I do know stuff like this do exist, right? But then I think many people don't really understand the importance of planning in the first place. I always say to many other senior engineers I sort of worked with, they'll be like, we get a new project. They're like, no, let's just go for it. I'm like, no. You're gonna spend 4 times the time you were supposed to spend because you failed at planning. Because planning will sort of give you an idea that what are the likelihoods of passing or what are the likelihoods of failing? And if we are going to fail, what are some of the measures that we might take if we fail in this way and all those kind of things? So I'm assuming your investment planning includes
that's risk management. Yeah, that's risk management. Yeah.
You sort of plan even the human resource to say, okay, there is Andy here. Andy is making, let's say, 1,000 rand per month by us and all those kind of things. He's part of those assets and the resources that you're sort of planning around, I guess. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, it's so the aspects there, Andy, is one, it's resources, right? So there's resources. The resources that we're talking physical resources. Do you have people to do the job that you want to do? Number two, obsolescence. Does the market even have those things? Because it's easy now to say, no, I want to replace this 325 engine with another 325 engine. Does the market even have the 325 engine that you're looking for? Time. Do people even have time to do what you want to do? And then obviously the most important, money. No one has an infinite budget. You have whatever, 20 billion. How do you have a lot of projects. Remember, you have a lot of assets to plan for, pardon me. And how do you spend that money? Because you can't just put it all in one project while you still have many other projects. So how do you optimize your money to make sure that
we get the best out of it?
You get the best out, because you are managing a portfolio. A portfolio has many projects. How do you do the most important projects with the budget that you have, the time that you have, the resources that you have? You understand? And bear in mind, you need to keep the plant running. At the end of the day, electricity must go to the people. You understand? So how do you do all of that while still delivering electricity? So it's quite a lot of factor. It's not a linear equation. It's not a linear equation. It's a model that you need to map out. Have a couple of variables there and a couple of equations, and then you get an output out of it. So it's maths, bro. It's maths and science. It's maths and science.
Sure. Yeah. I love that. Thanks for explaining that. But let's say I'm an engineer right now. I got to graduate from the university. How do I get there? I mean, can I just go to ESCOM or any other power plant or anywhere else and then just apply to say, hey, I want to be an investment planner? Or do I need some sort of a field work for like a year or two and then get to understand how to plan? Because I'm assuming for you to be able to plan around the efficiency of something, you sort of have to have like hands-on experience of something like that. Is that the case or it's not?
Yeah, a basic understanding. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Now you nailed it, bro. You got it. So you need to have field work. I mean, in most cases, they will tell you. I mean, firstly, you're right. You can't plan an asset which you don't understand how it works. You don't understand what its value on the value chain of delivering electricity. So you need to have some field experience. You need to have some plant experience, and you need to have some financial acumen and business acumen or something. How does the business work? How does the finances of the business work? If the business borrows 10 billion rand and your plan is 7 billion rand and you're 3 billion under on your spend, how does it affect the country? Because, for an example, if you're working for a state-owned company which is borrowing, so you're spending on debt, and there are interests that are being incurred on that debt, and you don't spend the money, but you have already borrowed at such a high interest rate. How does it impact the country's economy as a whole? The interest rates, everything. So, I mean, I'm just a small boy from the village, but bro, I can tell you, you are literally in charge of some serious things. Yeah, bro, you are in charge of some serious cash flow. So you need to definitely have some experience before you can just go in. And I mean, there are levels to it. There's normal planning, chief planning, senior planning, where you like now in charge of entire portfolios, and that those are the big billions I'm talking about, the big bucks.
Okay.
And I mean, when you move from country to country, company to company, you're moving between different budgets and different sources of income. Some countries work on debt. Some countries work on wealth that they've accumulated through their resources. Different others are working on other people's money. So it's different dynamics. Some people some companies don't mind debt. Some companies debt and interest rate and how much they're paying back the World Bank means a lot to them. So, but you will need experience, bro. You will need experience.
I think that's where, I mean, you spoke about billions and billions and billions of money there. I guess that's where your being bold, don't be afraid statement comes from. Some stupid phrase people use in the corporate space. I don't know if I use the right word, but that's just how it is, right? They'll be like, I still need to learn to get to the next position. But I was like, but then your job is learning every day. And if you're not bold enough about your job, that you're just learning and you're applying, then you just think there is something missing as well, and all those kind of things. So I guess with you, if you're saying, well, guys, we just need to spend a billion rand on this thing and all those kind of things, you sort of need to be looking firm and be sure and to be sort of bold with that decision. Otherwise, nothing would have happened.
Yeah. And I mean, we are really pushing the boundaries by saying spending a billion, because you know how difficult it is to spend a billion. I mean, your entire asset portfolio for Sasol is in the billions of rands. Your portfolio for ESCOM is in the billions of rands. Your portfolio for Kumbe, for Anglo Gold. I mean, these are international companies whose portfolios are in the billions of rands, right? And you are going in there as a black person who did not have any financial acumen while growing up, who is not used to financial statements. You're probably seeing them for the first time in there. You are not as privileged as your white counterparts who grow up in their farms and whatever, some of them, and they know a little bit about business financials. So now you're going in this phase where you are managing projects worth a couple of millions. One, you don't have those millions in the bank. So you are used to managing your grocery money, bro, 3,000, 4,000. And the more those zeros are piling up, the more now you're starting, they start getting into your eyes now. You've never even seen those numbers in your lifetime. And so there is that element of, holding back as a normal human being. One, it's not familiar territory. One, the impact is national, and you're not used to speaking in that language. So you have to adapt. But you have to be bold in everything that you do in life, in whatever job that you do. You have to be bold. You have to step out of your comfort zone, and you have to I like what you said. Even for you to get to the next, you need to operate in the level that you want to
To
be
be
in
at
before you get.
100%
If you want to be a manager, you need to start working as a manager before
right
you
now.
even apply for that job
Sure.
as a manager.
Sure.
Yeah, right now. So you have to be bold, and you have to plan those millions, whatever that your company that you're working with is throwing at you. You have to be bold, man, and you have to make bold engineering decisions. I mean, if I like what Julius Malema once said. And it was with regards to he was talking to, I can't remember which meeting it was, and he said to the people who were in the meeting, and I'm paraphrasing, and I think it was Julius Malema,
Sure.
and I'm paraphrasing,
It's okay.
and they were saying we don't understand why decisions are being made for a country in Africa like South Africa, Botswana. You are telling us to drop our coal substations,
Sure.
but you are just dropping us into load shedding, and you have gas in Europe.
Sure.
You can decide you're dropping. UK just dropped a whole coal power station, and they're not even feeling it because they have so much gas and so much natural, or rather, solar and wind and whatever.
Sure.
They are so advanced, right? So someone had to say in the African space, no, boldly stand up and say, nah, we are not doing that. As Africa, if we drop 6 coal power stations to reduce
we're
a
out.
figure of megatons of CO2, but my people are suffering. They don't have electricity. You are killing my people and my business.
Sure.
So we are not going to do it. But hey, man, we wanna look nice in the reports, then the COP whatever, COP 16. I mean, where's the
crazy.
boldness there, bro?
It's
You
crazy.
must just go there and say,
No.
nah, yeah. I mean, look at Putin. You think all these European countries are where they are by being weak, and you need to be bold. As a president, you need to step up and say, this is not going to happen.
Sure.
Putin said it. If you want to interfere in my war between Ukraine, which you don't even understand why we are at this war in the first place, there are going to be consequences.
I'll come to
That's
you. Yeah, simple
the
as that.
boldness that you need to show on your job. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So be bold, be brave, make the decisions, and check it out.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I do see that as a big problem. People I mean, I don't know. So sometimes, Mr. Ron, I just feel I'm very lucky by talking to different people with different backgrounds, right? You find
Yeah.
somebody who's probably even much
Yeah.
greater and who's well experienced, even more than me, but they are sort of stuck and stagnant in their career just because there is somebody who's feeding them their vision of themselves. You got what I'm saying? And again, no, I'm telling you, Mr. Ron. Right now, somebody comes and tell you, no. When you can't do you can't do sound engineering, but then you're doing sound engineering for Rolivhuwa. Like, and that person is just sitting, probably is just an employee or a manager or a director or whatever in a company, but you are doing this for somebody who is holding the South African gospel or music in their hands, and they are like, they're an icon, they're legends, and they're telling you what you are not good at yourself. And I think for me, the boldness and not being afraid is just telling them, man, just go drink some water. I've told so many people the very same thing. They're like, you're disrespectful. And I was like, no, I'm not disrespectful. You can't just come into my space and then tell me how to operate. At least respect. Like, suggest, talk about it if you want to talk, and whatever, we will talk. But then don't come and tell me I should live this way because you think it's a better way. If it's a better way, why doesn't it work for you and stuff like that? And I think such things are not being talked about, and people are not rejecting in a good way somewhere, somehow.
And I think for me, the important part, when someone gives me advice or whatever, I always look for two things.
Sure.
Where is your heart? What is the motive of you telling me these things?
Okay.
Are you telling me because you want to improve? And I often gauge on your outputs.
Sure.
What are your outputs? If you just come and tell me, I don't like the way you dress. I mean,
and then
I don't like suits and stuff.
Sure.
I don't like the way you dress. I don't like how you do it. Yeah, you look so much better doing this and this and this. Yeah. People, you'd be more. Okay. So what? But if you come to me and you said, bro, yesterday while we were at the meeting with the CEO, I noticed that the CEO made two comments about the fact that you were not wearing a jacket.
I love that.
I think
I love that.
just for
Yeah.
presentation and for the conversation to be easier with the CEO next time, I think you should get a jacket that you keep in the office so that when we go meet the CEO, you can just put the jacket on top of what you are wearing.
Wonderful.
And I think the CEO will be more open to your suggestion. You know what I mean? Then I'm more open to your suggestion because I can see your output, I see your observation. But if you come to me, why were you dressed like that? I don't like the way you're dressing. Now I'm just like, hey, bruh, go ride a camel or something. You know what I mean? Leave me by myself.
Useful.
So you're very right.
Yeah,
go do something with your life. Yeah. So it's always that, and I mean I mean even Jesus Christ, bro. Like it's not a force, and we are so lucky to be following a Christ that gives us options. And you know what I mean? Who gives you option? If you believe in your heart and you really love God, you will be baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's a choice. You know what I mean? He gives us a choice to choose. It's not a force. It was never written in the Bible that you shall, because you were born. You know, it's a choice. You believe or you don't believe. And if you believe, this is what you want to subscribe to. You know what I mean? So we need to be very mindful as people giving advice as well. Because I've noticed that also people get hurt a lot when they give advice and people don't take the advice. And I'm just like, bro, I mean, even Judas received advice, bro. He didn't take it. You know what I mean? It didn't start with you. It's not going to end with you. It's going to continue as time goes on. So when you give out that advice and you must just be open to anything can happen. The person can take it or they can decide this is not for me. That's why I always say I agree with myself, and whatever I write on my WhatsApp statuses and whatever, I agree with it. And if you don't agree with it, that is fine. We can challenge, we can have meaningful conversation about it. But I will never force my ideas or my beliefs into your throat and this is how you shall live. No. You can't do that.
Okay.
You can't do that. But we need to be there for each other. We need to use our experience to guide each other and give advice.
Let's talk a little bit about your sound engineering and then the photography. How did you start it? Did you start it as a hobby and then you start realizing, oh, I'm very good at this? And then how did you sort of convert it from being a hobby to being something that is useful, you can employ and get other people to jump on board? And as well, the last one, this is important, Minister Ron. And why didn't you leave your job for it?
This is the key, bro. This is the key. This is what we've been building up to.
Sure.
Bro, it's all. I mean, let's start with the photography because that's what started first, right?
Sure.
Although, for sound engineering came later, but sound started first. I mean, I was a musician from grade 10. I was already playing at church back at home. So that's where I developed a love for music. Actually, this story is tied together. Because when I was 10 years old, I developed a love for music. I wanted to serve at church. I've always loved church. So I was serving there. I was playing drums. And then as I went into high school, I got a bit involved with the leadership aspect of serving at church. So I was leading a couple of home cells. I was 3 home cells, I think. And I was leading band at some stage. And then at church, I was playing. And then obviously, so you are learning that leadership aspect. And leading volunteers is not the same as leading people you are paying, also, by the way. So learning all that aspect of leadership. And then when I went to I started working in Pulukwan. So when I was working there, I got involved with the local church. I was playing music. There was a gap in youth. So I got involved with youth, with some of the youth pastors and some of the elderly youth that were there. We did youth. And while we were doing youth, I was always business oriented then, because I could see that you have an expectation that I'm gonna earn 100,000, and then you get to work and your offer is like 10,000, and you're just like, what the hell? I went to school for this. So just as a side note for people who are at varsity, whatever salary you are dreaming of, just slash it by 40% or 60. That's the salary you're gonna get when you start working.
Like loads.
So while we were serving at church, we had a youth camp. We went to a youth camp, and when we went to a youth camp, someone brought a camera, and I had the camera, and I started taking pictures. I loved it, man. I mean, I always wondered how these nice pictures look about. So I liked the picture. so much. And I started taking pictures at that camp. So I was pushing between leading the camp, leading the youth, and I now started being the photographer of the camp. And after that, that's where it just picked up, man. I took the camera and I started taking pictures, man. And before I knew it, I was taking friends. Before I knew it, someone, just come and take me pictures of a maternity shoot. Just come take pictures of my party. It's 10 people. Before I knew it, we were taking wedding pictures. The brand started growing. And I mean, art peak photography, I mean, we have stamped our legacy in Venda, bro, in Limpopo as general. We were even starting to push our brand into Joburg now. But I mean, the stuff we did there was massive, man. And but most importantly was, I mean, it's not necessarily the quality of your product means a lot, but what means more in business is how you make people feel. And I don't know where I read it. I read it,
Sure.
but how you make people feel
Sure.
is very, very important. And even now, when I was saying because of my circumstances, I had to hand over a business to my younger brother. Muanom Seta, by the way, look out
Yes.
for him. He's doing some great stuff. He's taking that to the next level. So look out. So I mean, when I was talking to most people now, because I sort of kind of let my clients know I'm not in the business anymore. Someone has taken it over, but it's not going to be me. And most people were like, it's not about the business, man. It's not about the pieces. We want you to be there because of how you handle people, how you speak to people. So our business was thriving mostly because of the soft skills, how we made people feel. And the wedding would make you feel like you're Kim Kardashian at your own wedding. And I mean, what more do you want than feeling beautiful? So that was my journey, really, from taking friends, church friends, parties, small parties into weddings. Then we became a big brand. So that was our photography business. We were very honest business.
Sure.
We were quality driven business. We were a time conscious business.
Sure.
But most importantly, we were very professional. We were very professional. I had a crew, man, Zui, Moano, Hector, Chejo, man, the most professional people you can ever think of. And I mean, we did some top dollar weddings, bro, like millionaire weddings, bro, like serious stuff.
And
that business was based on those pillars that I just mentioned now.
And your service was not changing based on you're talking to, and I'm not saying I'm a millionaire, but you're taking pictures for Andy who's a millionaire as opposed to somebody who's just a thousandaire. Because I think
consistent.
Yeah, consistency. Yeah, I think do you want to share maybe how long you have sort of started the business? Because I don't want people to get an idea that Ron was just lucky and then he flipped this business overnight. You don't have to tell me the time frame, but like just the years, bro, and how you sort of saw yourself growing up and all those kind of things.
I think it took me the first year I didn't do any wedding.
Sure.
So the first year the first few months after buying the equipment, it was mostly me and my sisters, me and my friends. I take pictures of you here and there. Pro bono, by the way. So you, and not even pro bono, because pro bono, you might make money afterwards. That's like free. Let's just put it as it is what it is. It's free work. And you do that. And that went on for close to a year. Then the following year, once I decided, let me put money in it because the feedback is good. You know what I mean? So it took about another year of just doing wedding, parties, but I mean, during that year, I was not just sitting. I was doing a lot of work, practicing, reading a lot of material, watching a lot of material, improving my skills,
and as well, you had
improving
a job.
My gear as well.
And as well, you had a job. And you already had a job, which means you're not doing out of Harvard.
I had a job that was funding my business.
Thank you.
I have a job that's funding my business, and I'm patient enough to not want to swindle people money by overcharging for very poor quality product because I'm hungry. So I was not swindling people's money. And I'm patient. I'm patient to say, I will not do a wedding now because I'm not ready. But I know month end I'm sorted. You know what I mean? So but sometimes when you're desperate for the next meal, you take desperate actions, man. You make desperate decisions and you kind of kill your business. You overbook yourself because you need as much money as you can. your service goes down, your quality goes down. How do you make people feel like you're always in a rush? They are not a priority because you have to go to the next event. Because you know what I mean? But you can build your business in layers. You build your business in terms of resources, the cameras that you have, and then you build your business in terms of the people that you work. You are aligned strategically in terms of how you work and the soft skills, people skills. And then over time, you can take 5 weddings in one day because you have the people, you have the resources, and you have the time to
Sure.
edit afterwards. You know what I mean? So you build in layers. You gradually build
I love that.
as you go up.
I
So
love
so
that.
so it takes time, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about 2 years, 2.5 before I did my first small wedding, and the big weddings came afterwards. And because you take so much time building
Crafting.
and putting the correct foundation,
Sure.
by the time you start doing the big weddings, it's bro, you know, once the foundation, the foundation, the it's casted, you know, the concrete is casted and it's solid foundation. Going up, it's quick, man. It's easy. That's just like a matter of overnight. No, maybe not overnight, but
you know,
the success
yeah,
is
it
it's
looks
an
overnight.
exponential curve
Yeah, it looks
of
overnight.
learning, success.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mr. Ron,
it does look overnight, but it's a smooth logarithmic equation.
equation.
Yeah,
Mr. Ron, you know what I really love? What
yeah,
we just closing this chat with is going back
yeah,
to the very first chat we had about to say you do need the school to sort of build the base, build the
yeah,
foundation, and all those kind of. I think the whole thing we've been
yes,
chatting sort of
yeah,
then correlates. And then you do need some sort of money
yeah.
to keep on. I mean, many entrepreneurs will tell you, no, just live it, and then no. It's not just if you just live it. At least be having
No,
a unit trust fund that your family owns. Well, sure, you can live it
thank
and then
you.
go and start. Or if your brother is willing to fund you, but still you are funded. You got what I'm saying? You need some sort of money to sort of grow and whatever. And I really like how you said you didn't try to go and buy 100,000 camera all at first. You just knew that, okay, I'm having a 2,500 rand
Yeah,
camera that can only do up to this much, and then if I hit this metric, then I go up and all those kind of things. So tell us your biggest one.
building blocks.
I want us to go to the engineering one, the sound engineering, and then we sort of close it out with one question I have. But
Yeah, bro. So that was interesting because as a musician, I mean, you're behind the instrument that you're playing, and it took. I mean, at the church we were in Plukwane, there was no sound engineer, so I used to. When there's another drummer, I would move into the sound desk and then I would mix. Because I love music so much, I listen to a lot of music, so I know how it should. At least I know how a good record sounds like. Right, so I try to emulate that, and that's how it started at church, and then I moved to Joburg, and then I moved to a church, and then at that church in Joburg, there was a time where there was no one, if I remember, at Riezzo, and we were really struggling. And I remember the guy who was the leader of the band was like, "Hey man, do you know anything about mixing? Can you try and just sort us out for this practice?" And then I went and I did, and everyone was like, "Yeah, that was dope, man. We had what we wanted to hear. Why don't you do it?" And then within a week, I was like, let me join the sound team. Then I learned the mixer, and then I learned one or two things. I read a lot of material. I studied a lot of material, right? Not just reading, I read, but I also studied a lot of material.
Okay.
I watched a lot of material. I practiced a lot. I invested on it because I got some stuff to work with at home. And that's how it started. And that career moved quite exponentially. That was because then I started working by the grace of God. I met some artists at church. We started working together. And you know, when you mix a Sunday and people were like, "Man, that sounded good. It sounded like music." And then you start getting courage, and then one thing led to the other. Bro, that career just God just like it just went up. And before I knew it, I was in concerts, I was in big arenas. I mean, I did the Big Top Arena within a 2 years of me starting doing sound. I mean, some people who went to school have never even seen the Big Top Arena. Like, have never even touched a desk at Carnival City. Never touched a desk at whatever Jack Bothes in Pulukwane. I've been there, bro. I've been, by the grace of God. It's It's something that has come effortlessly because I've played music so much and almost all instruments. I know the fundamentals of all instruments. So I
It,
know how it needs to sound. I know how a record must sound. And through hard work as well and dedication and this, I've managed to pick that up, and I find it, because I love the music, it's easy for me to learn and give it time. And it's just been one of those things
works.
that has been so beneficial. And even where I'm at currently, I mean, bro, it's picking up so nice. Eh? It's I thought it was gonna take time, but it's just like
Going great.
that curve is just going up. So it's just grace of God. You know, they always say you will always have that one thing that
Sure.
just comes effortlessly to you, and you need to invest your time on it,
It was not
and because that's where
effortlessly.
your next big part is at.
Mr. Ron, it was not
Nah,
effortlessly. You
no,
spent so
no, there
much
was
time.
effort.
It's just up to people.
There
It
was
looks
effort.
like there was
Yeah,
no
no, there was
much
effort.
effort. Yeah.
It looks effortless. Yes,
Yeah. So,
there
I
was
mean,
effort, but what I was trying to say there
mhm.
is that you don't have to force yourself to wake up in the morning to go and do
I
sound.
love, yeah.
You
Okay.
understand?
I
I
get
don't
you.
have to wake up. If I have to wake up at 6 o'clock to
Hmm.
go and do a show, I'll probably wake up at 5 o'clock and start thinking about it. Oh, how am I gonna set up my sound desk? How
I
is my
see.
show file looking like?
I see.
How do I want my artist to feel like? It excites me the most. Yeah. So it becomes easy even to study and learn
Yeah.
because it excites you already. It's
So,
like the girl, the very beautiful girl that you really love, my
mhm.
man. Even spending a single dime on her, it's not an issue.
Not at all. Not at all.
Where David?
Yeah, and at that time we're busy getting
Yeah, yeah.
broke every time we're paying the dime, but it doesn't feel nothing, like anything. That's nice.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Ron,
It did. Well, yes.
you know, but Mr. Ron, there was something that I got to pick up here. You were like every time you are doing sound,
Yeah.
you sort of picked up the confidence, and you sort of starting to trust yourself and all those kind of things. I mean, I'm a big preacher of saying, for you to know that
Yeah.
your confidence comes from doing, and confidence comes from doing something that has been proven right,
Mm.
and you do it again and again and again and again. Confidence doesn't just
Yeah.
come because you stood up in the morning and then look at your
Yeah.
mirror. I'm great. No, no, no. That's not confidence. You're trying to fake it up. Do
Yeah.
something and then do great at it. I don't want to say advise people here, or just one piece of advice, but I want to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
from all these three things that you have been doing, what is that one thing that you
Yeah.
sort of found useful, and you found as if it was sort of illegal for you to know, and that has helped you achieve or do all these things that you had to do?
The cream will always rise to the top. The cream will always rise to the top, irrespective of what people say, irrespective of how many haters you have. If you are a cream, you will always rise to the top. And how do you become a cream? You become a cream by dedicating your time, on whatever that you're doing, be it electrical engineering, be it sound, be it photography. You dedicate time, you learn and you relearn. You learn and you relearn in whatever that you're doing every single time. You be honest with yourself, with your feedback that you're getting. Be very honest with your feedback. If you sucked at it, you tell
Sure.
yourself that was terrible. How can I improve it? You go and do it. So you be honest in your feedback. And number four, aim to be better than what you were the day before. These are the four fundamentals that I always remind myself of every single day when I wake up. And if you consistently do these things, you consistently learn and relearn, you are honest with your feedback, you are the hardest working person that you know. You don't have to be the hardest working person in the world, but be the hardest person working that you know. When be a hard worker and satisfy yourself that you are really working hard. And I think I can add to the fifth one, be very intentional in your decisions that you are doing. Be very intentional be very intentional in the decisions that you make and how you take, and stick to them. Don't be a fly by night that changes every second day. Keep to the decisions that you've taken. These five things, for me, they will make you become a cream of whatever that you do. And I strongly believe, right? I strongly believe that people, like, you want to tell me, Andy, based on the work ethic that uh, Elon Musk has, and Jeff Bezos, and all these rich
Big boys.
entrepreneurs that we know.
Sure.
You think if those guys were to branch out tomorrow and they were to become pastors of churches, you think those churches wouldn't be successful?
They will be
I
very
bet you they'd be
successful.
very successful
Sure.
because of the principles that they've put around them.
Themselves.
They have principles in life that they work with that make them to become creams in whatever that they do. And once you have done that, that is the hack that I've figured out that is illegal, like you say, to know.
Sure.
Once you figure out how you need to become a cream, and you are consistent in being a cream, you will always rise to the top. It doesn't matter how many. If you are in a company where there are 10 people and you consistently perform, it doesn't matter if 5 people are always bashing you every single day. The fact that you are the cream, you will always rise to the top. Bro, results don't lie. Results do not lie.
That, yeah.
Even the people who look down on you, they can't ignore your results for long. They can't ignore your results for long.
It's a matter of time.
If you are the best sounding engineer, even if you only get 1 concert out of 5, that 1 concert that you do, people can't ignore how you sound there, bro. They can ignore it for long, but eventually there will be a client that comes and say, guys,
there'll be an Andy that comes and be like, hey man, I have 3 of my friends, they're in the music industry, and that's it.
Come and, you know what I mean? If you are a good photographer, you will get the chance. If you are a good teacher at the school and you consistently, your kids are getting the best results, your subject is always, the highest average of marks is in your subject. Over time, you will become HOD. You will become a principal. You will become a educational advisor. Because people just think you can be a teacher and it ends there. No. You can be an educational curriculum advisor somewhere. You can work in the Ministry of Education. If you are the best usher in whatever you are doing at church, you can be the best usher and become head of ushering. Before you know it, you are head of security in the office of the president. I mean, how did it come up? Yeah, you never know
because of the principles, and you stick up to them.
How did it come out? Because of the principles that you put for yourself, and you, they can't ignore you for long, bro. They can't ignore you. Look at the stories of Cristiano, Messi. Look at the story of Duplessis. Now look at the story of sports people like Sia, whatever, Eben. You look at stories of I want to branch off from sports.
It's okay.
You look at your Vusi Tempekwayo, for example. I mean, we can't ignore him. We might not agree with his principles and whatever, but he was the first black person, I think, currently to speak in what in UK. I mean, you can't ignore those things. You look at people like Ronald Lamula. I mean, come 20 years, I'm interested to see where Ronald is going to be. As young as he is look at Tito Mboweni now. He was head of something at the age of 34. I think he was heading the department. And I'm talking about people who look like you and me. I'm talking about our skin color now. People who have made it. So just have principles to be the cream, and stay at the top even if you're not getting the results. The remuneration. If you're not getting, you might not get the remuneration for it. Time. Yeah. But make sure you consistently be the cream, and over time, doors will open for you, man. And this is in everything that you do, even the ones that you're not getting remunerated in. Apply your principles.
Yeah, nice.
Apply your principles.
I love that because
I 5 advices in one.
I love them. I love them all because I think many people, even at church, I'm gonna put church because you and I grew up in church, right? You find that the way they treat the pastor and the way they treat people who report to them is sort of different. And at work, again, the way they report to their bigger bosses and the way they're treating the people under them is sort of different. They're sort of becoming a two-sided coin and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And just because they don't have those principles of themselves at the core, even if they're a cream, they will never get to rise there. But if you hold those principles for anyone, for everything, then you're going to get there. Otherwise, Mr. Ron, this has been a very long chat. And I really loved it. And I really appreciate your time. And I'm hoping to have a chat with EP Mulaudzi on this. And then, I'll start knocking on his door from today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, knock on his door. And I mean, I will give him a call also to tell him that you're gonna call, and he
Please.
must accept. You see, I must open that door for you as
He
well.
must
So
accept.
I will make sure that he comes here.
We are holding him at
He doesn't have
gunpoint.
a choice. I'll hold him ransom
Thank you
if I
very
have
much.
to.